If 2016's Doom was a modern 101 course in ripping and tearing, Doom Eternal is your masterclass in the art of demon dismemberment. id Software channels all the aggression and speed of its contemporary take on demon blasting into a brainier, more cerebral dance of death. It challenges you not only to be light on your feet and quick with your aim, but to be constantly aware of your environment, your adversaries, your capabilities, and your limitations. There's a lot to keep track of, which can lead you to struggle getting through the game's learning curve. But during its strongest moments, of which there are many, Doom Eternal makes you feel like a monster-shredding badass. Not just because you're the strongest Doomslayer, but because you're also the smartest.
Rip and tear until it is done.
The fundamental changes of Doom Eternal, compared to Doom 2016, are in how you get the things you need to stay alive. Back are Doom's glory kills, where you stagger an enemy to initiate a brutal takedown, which usually includes ripping off a part of their body and forcibly integrating it into another part. In Doom 2016, glory kills turn enemies into piñatas of health, armor, and ammo, but Eternal changes that equation. Glory kills now only give you health, while killing enemies you set on fire with a new flamethrower gives you armor, and chainsawing enemies gives you ammo. You have to balance all three kill types to keep yourself going. The overall effect is that you can't just run around blasting madly, you have to run around blasting rationally. Every fight in Doom Eternal requires constant calculus. Do you have enough bullets in the right gun to take down this enemy? Can you damage someone enough for a quick health boost while you're on the run? Should you put your effort into knocking out the big guy who's chasing you, or take a second to snipe off the weapons of a distant monster by making use of Doom Eternal's new enemy weak points? Most fights take place in big, elaborate multi-level arenas adorned with jump pads and monkey bars that help you get around quickly. You're also equipped with a double jump and a quick horizontal dash that lets you avoid attacks and cross distances. Like everything else, positioning has to be on your mind constantly in Doom Eternal. If you aren't moving, you're dying. If that sounds overwhelming, you're right, it definitely can be. Watching your ammo counters or your health counters, assessing threats on the battlefield, picking your paths as you move around arenas, knowing when to fire grenades or to freeze enemies, finding guys to set on fire and hack up with your chainsaw, it's all a lot to keep track of. It's easy to get thrown out of the joy at battle at points when you're continually calling up your weapon wheel to see what you've still got bullets in, or trying to swap to the correct weapon mod to deal with the monster currently ripping your face off. There are a lot of things you have to manage in Doom Eternal, and getting into the rhythm of that management can take a while. And Eternal can definitely be frustrating, especially in some arenas where it's easy to accidentally get stuck in a corner or back straight over a cliff. Eternal isn't a mindless shooter where you can get into a flow and let your muscle memory and reflexes do the work. It's a mindful shooter where every second requires you to be plotting your next move. Especially as you're getting used to it, constantly switching between attacks and chasing enemies for pickups can feel antithetical to the fast and explosive approach players expect from Doom. But while it all can be a bit much, Eternal is brimming with moments when all the pieces come together, especially after a few hours of getting the hang of them. It's like the Twitch shooter equivalent of a really great puzzle game, where your success comes from a full understanding of every single system's intricacies and your mind and body unify to execute some ridiculous, gory mayhem. Doom Eternal's greatly increased mobility and creative level design are where the game really kicks into a metal guitar solo and starts shredding. Especially in its best designed arenas, you're always repositioning, taking opportunities to fill your larders with health and ammo, and prioritizing threats to tune the fight to your liking. Once you get the rhythm of Eternal, it becomes a brilliant extension of what made Doom 2016 so cool. And Eternal is great at providing heart-pounding moments when you barely manage to slice off an opponent's head just in time to shower yourself with health and cheat death, then spin around and blast a big foe with a rocket, suddenly tipping the odds in your favor. Just about every fight feels like a speeding train seconds from going off the rails, with disaster only averted because you're so damn good at killing stuff. There are a ton of fights in Doom Eternal, and nearly every one of them is a heart-pounding, white-knuckle struggle for survival. While the intricacies of combat are the big focus in Doom Eternal, there's a lot of other stuff going on too. There's an even bigger focus on platforming, and puzzling out how to traverse levels and find the myriad secrets and upgrades scattered within them is a welcome breather between fights. The platforming is still a bit iffy at times, especially when you need to make a long jump to grab monkey bars or sticky walls, but falls into the abyss no longer kill you, making these portions of the game pretty forgiving. There's also a fairly involved story stretched through Doom Eternal, although good luck following it if you don't take the time to read the many collectible lore drops scattered around. Eternal's approach to its storytelling feels like a fundamental shift from the satirical, jokey approach in 2016's Doom. That game was about an energy company that got rich off devil worship, and a protagonist who would literally punch the radios trying to give him context for his constant mutilations. Eternal is entirely more self-serious about hell invading Earth, filled with unexplained proper nouns, events, and characters it acts like you should be intimately familiar with.
And now you seek to defy the Calm Maker herself. It is your people's time now to give penance, just as it was mine.
Knowing what's going on isn't a necessary component to enjoying the game, which is good, because the story is completely confusing. In addition to the main campaign, Doom Eternal also includes a multiplayer mode called Battle Mode. It forgoes the more traditional deathmatch approach of Doom 2016, in which a bunch of players grab the Doomslayer's weapons and shoot each other, for an experience in which one combatant takes on the role of the Slayer, fighting a team of 2 opponents who play as demons. The Slayer vs. Demons approach of Eternal's multiplayer helps maintain the puzzle-like feel of its combat while ratcheting up the challenge by giving demons the ability to strategize and work together. Demons also have a bunch of special abilities. They can summon smaller enemies to fight for them, block the Slayer's ability to pick up loot to stop them from healing, create traps, or share buffs. Battle Mode is an interesting take on Eternal's battles, requiring you to use all your skills against intelligent enemies as the Slayer and to execute coordinated assaults as the relatively weaker demons. Playing as the demons puts things at a slower pace, but captures a different, more tactical aspect of the battle calculations that are central to Doom Eternal's gameplay. Eternal's multiplayer is a fun change of pace, especially with the chance to play as the demons, but the steep learning curve means it's a bit alienating to drop into, especially if you haven't put significant time into the campaign. There's a lot to keep in mind no matter what role you take in battle mode, making it a tough multiplayer experience to get good at. The mode also doesn't add too much variety to Eternal's ideas. For Slayer players, it's mostly just a more challenging version of the campaign. Taking on the demon role lets you try one of 5 different Hellions, but while each plays a little differently, the gist is pretty much the same. Summon demons, shoot the Slayer. Battle mode is a fun diversion, but it's not the major draw of Eternal by any stretch, and the novelty of facing off against other humans doesn't add much to the game's underlying formula. With its intricate combat and level designs, Doom Eternal manages to elevate all the things that made Doom 2016 work so well. Its combat is quick and chaotic, but requires you to constantly analyze everything that's happening in order to come out victorious. Eternal takes some time to get used to, but find its rhythm, and it will reward you with a stream of ridiculous, intense moments that'll scratch your demon-slaying itch, all while making you feel like a combat savant.